All right, in case we're not getting it, I'll walk through these a little bit slower, I guess, just to make sure we're getting it. Um, you can fast forward through this if it's too easy. But at this point, we know that my x-intercepts are going to be at x equals 3, right? And so um, 3 is right here. And notice because there's two of them, it's the same spot. We got a value that equals 5. That means we're going to go up 5 over 1 both directions. This is going to be very narrow. That gives me an axis of symmetry as of um, x equals 3, which tells me my vertex is 3 comma something. And it looks as though, let's see, that my y-intercept, if I just multiply -3 times -3 times 5, that'll give me my y-intercept at positive 45. That's off the chart. Okay, so the only thing I have to figure out now is if I plug in numbers, can I get um, a my vertex? Well, I already know my vertex is 0, right? So that's done. Um, do I need another point? At this point, I wouldn't bother with it so much. I would just graph this and be done. We know what the y-intercept is. All right, number 9 gets a little more complicated. This one's just going to face down. If you can, I would factor out a -6. By the way, y-intercept, that's quick and easy, is at -60. If I factor out the -6, I'm going to get x squared minus 7x plus 10. So we're looking for factors of 10 that add up to -7. That's got to be negative, right? So -2, -5. If I rewrite that one more time, -6, x minus 2, x minus 5. Give me intercepts at x equals 2 and 5. Right? 2 and 5. Right in between this is my axis of symmetry at x equals 3.5 or 3.5, right? 2 plus 5 is 7 divided by 2 is 3.5. That gives me the axis of symmetry. Now really all I need is my vertex. Well, I know that my vertex is at 3.5 comma something. So let's plug that in. And what's the easiest way to plug it in? I'm gonna choose to plug that into this, and we'll do some multiplying when we're done. So f of 3.5 is equal to -6 times, what is 3.5 minus 2? And what is 3.5 minus 5? We know negative times negative is going to be positive, and now you're going to pull out your calculator and multiply that out. And I got 13.5 which is up here. I know that I'm going to go down 6 over 1. Okay, so down 6 from 13 is 7.5. Over 1 is going to be right about there. Symmetrical right about there. And I've got 5 points fairly quickly and easily. You know, the question is, I can't put in a y-intercept again because I don't have enough room on my graph. All right, consider the graph of the quadratic function at the right with x-intercepts -4 and 2. Write a formula for a possible quadratic function in factored form. Okay, so look at this. My vertex is here. My factored form, I've got that information. So I know this is facing up. Y equals some a value, x plus 4, right? It's minus a negative 4 is plus 4, x minus 2. That's in factored form. Can I tell if I go up, if I go over 1 here and here, how far up did I go? Well, it looks like I went from negative 18 to negative 16. So it looks like I went up 2 over 1. So I know that a equals 2 based on the graph. And so I can add that 2 into the equation. The y-intercept of the graph is negative 16. Well, that was that point right there. That helped. I didn't even have to do that. But visually, that was correct. Um, and we're done. Given the x-intercepts for the function, the quadratic function, write a possible equation of the quadratic function in factored form. Uh, I think you can do this. We know that y equals uh, x minus 0 times x minus 3, or just x times x minus 3. So you didn't necessarily have to give me this if you know that that's just going to be 0. I'm going to go ahead and stop the video and see if you can finish these up, and I'll put the answers down. All right, what do you think? Got answers for you. Now, none of these told us that these are facing up or down, so theoretically this could be plus or minus, plus or minus, plus or minus, plus or minus. We're just trying to get you to think that through so that when we get to number 12, it makes a little bit more sense. Write the formula. Well, we already know um, that we have an intercept at negative 2. That means x equals negative 2 and negative 2, right? So y equals x plus 2 quantity squared. Now we know this is going to go over 1. That looks like it's hitting here and here, up 1 over 1. And we know that, so we can throw in an a value of 1. So for part B, they threw in this because they don't anticipate me showing you the slope of that first point. So if you get lost and you know that you have a point that is at 0, comma, um, uh, the y-intercept, what was the y-intercept? At 4, which is what we have right here, right? Then we should be able to plug in 4 equals a x, I'm sorry, 0 plus 2 squared. Well, 4 equals a times 4, or a equals 1, which is what we had already found up here. Just another method for solving this. All right, your lesson summary lets you read through this, but we should be able to get lots of information depending on what forms that we are in. We've got standard form, vertex form, and intercept form. Good luck.